Welcome back, Wisdom and Wealth channel, Wisdom and Wealth family. I'm excited today. We are at our networker event at the launch of it, and there's some amazing things taking place. And to break the ice of the whole event, I'm able to sit down with a business mentor of mine, a man that's been poured into me for quite some time now. Ever since he and I have met, there's been just an instant bond, an instant connection. Amen. And for those of you that have saw the professional commercial that we did for last year's Wisdom and Wealth Conference, this is the man that put it together. So many of you were amazed by the professionalism that it exuded, and now we're here to continue to build towards the next conference. So, but right now, before we get into our networking event, we have a few moments to be able to share some information with you. And this man that I'm sitting here across not only is a pastor in the ministry for quite some time now, he's an author of multiple books. He has a broadcasting network online. He's streaming all kind of ministry events and other things that he's going to be able to share with you. And I'm not going to steal his thunder. I'm going to be able to let him share his story. So today I want to introduce to some and present to others Minister Wayne Shemwell.
Thank you, brother.
How's it going today?
Thank you, man. I think I have to get up and leave. I'm already done. You know, you didn't put me up on this pedestal, but I love you. You know, I love what you're doing. I love your positivity, and the fact that you're a young black man who is doing something that society says we're not doing.
Absolutely.
You know, and that's a lie. They may not be covering it, but you're doing it, and I'm just glad to be a part of it. Thank you for having me.
Well, it's my pleasure. So individuals, they see you today, and they see you, all the success that you've been able to have, all the individuals that you have helped along the journey. I mean, you and I have spoken briefly, and you've given services, you have rendered services to so many different individuals. And, you know, individuals may not have paid you on time. Individuals may have utilized your services and then tried to stab you in your back. But you just continue to persevere. You continue to persist and continue to succeed. So individuals that see you now, they see the success, the wealth, and everything that you have. But it wasn't always like that. No. So I want to revisit the old Wayne Shemwell. And I want to work up to who you are today. So let's tell me a little bit about your childhood.
No, that's well, before I do it real quick, that's why I want to talk about overcoming obstacles this June.
Okay.
Because I think that those are the things that we need to be aware of. They're going to come. We just need to be able to deal with them in a productive way. My childhood, man, I had an idyllic childhood. My mother was a school teacher. My father was an engineer. When he retired from Naval Ordnance isn't far from here, as a matter of fact. He was the number 3 man in Naval Ordnance, black man.
Oh wow!
Number 3 man, yeah, that's right. So they always insisted on education. That you all gonna get your education. You all gonna get your education. My father went to Hampton Institute before it was Hampton University. He took me back there one time to show me, you know, the Booker T. Washington statue and all this, and got to walk the hallowed grounds of Hampton. And so he had instilled in us that, I mean, my goal in life when I was growing up, I was very into space. See, when I was coming up, you know, we were just getting into the Apollo, I mean, the Gemini and Mercury. And I can take May 5th, 1961, Alan Shepard, the first man going to space. Ed White, first white American to walk in space. I mean, I know all, you give me space, I can tell you all the statistics. I actually even got to work on the Space Shuttle Endeavour. Wow. I have a letter from NASA where I applied as a mission specialist. I got rejected, but I framed my rejection letter. And people always ask me, they say, why you frame a rejection letter? I said, because I tried. To show that I tried. You know, you can't fail if you don't try.
There goes, that's a nugget right there, huh?
You know, I mean, if you sit on the couch, nothing's going to happen. You know, a boat that don't make waves ain't going nowhere. You know, so my childhood, you know, I went to college and then the Marine Corps. You know, got to work in aerospace, in the defense industry, got flying back and forth across country, doing all kinds of wonderful things. Got out of that, and when I met my soon-to-be wife, we decided, we were living in LA, decided to move back to Louisville.
Now moving back to Louisville. Now was that after the Marine?
Oh yeah.
So now we want to park it there for a
Okay,
second. So
okay.
if you could, so we're gonna build up to our journey of you becoming
Gotcha.
a wealthy financial businessman. How about the Marines in that time right there?
Well, I got a story about the Marine Corps too. I was the first black to have my job in the Marine Corps.
Oh wow! And what exactly was that
I
title?
was a Tactical Air Command Central Technician, and I was the first black. And this was in like 78, I think it was when I became. I got up right up in the Navy Times and all that kind of stuff, and they brought me back. I went to a couple of duty stations, then they brought me back to be an instructor. So for most of my career in the Marine Corps, I was teaching other Marines how to deal. I was dealing with computers and radar and all kinds of stuff, man.
So you've had a connection with technology since you were basically born.
Oh yeah, my dad was the one that introduced me to computers in 1968. He was going taking a class. They were still using punch cards and all the computers were room size, and he took me to U of L with him to audit the class. Because I mean, my dad was a forward thinker, man, in a lot of ways. Because he said, the one thing they can't take from you is what you put in here.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I remember one time, I'll tell you this quick story. He said, I'm running around talking about black power, black power. I was part of this group, when I was coming up. He said, "Little Negro, what are you doing?" I said, "I'm with the so-and-so, Daddy, we got black power, 4 quarters." He said, "Come here." He said, "Open your hand up." He put a $5 bill in my hand, he closed it. He said, "That's black power." Never forgot that lesson. Economics can drive a whole lot of things, and that's what you're doing here. But I was in the Marine Corps, and then I transitioned out, and I went to work for Magnavox Defense Systems in the General Engineering Department. I was in maintainability, reliability, and human factors. Basically, maintainability is you look at the steps necessary to maintain a piece of equipment. What are the breakdowns, and how do you repair this, and how do you repair that, writing the procedures and making sure that it was something that was really feasible. Then reliability was in the form of how long does it last?
Okay.
We call it MTTB, mean time between failures, is what I had to work out. It was all math and statistics, and I enjoyed the heck out of it though, because we got to do something called DPA. And I was doing that all my life, and I didn't know I could get paid for it. It's destructive physical analysis.
So you went to sleep and you just had numbers just flying everywhere.
I was a math minor. Yeah, I was. Dan Withers, Dr. Dan Withers. He was my math teacher. He ended up being principal at Central, but he saw something in me, and see, that's why I'm trying to give back, because he saw something in me at an early age, an aptitude for mathematics and science and whatnot. And he started sending me, he told my parents, and they were sending me to summer school for math. I was taking functions and, all that kind of stuff. When I was at Shawnee High School, I finished all their math. I was at U of L taking math class.
Now at the Shawnee High School, was it the Shawnee High School like it was today? Was it as rough as it was, or was it a better look?
No, I'm telling you, and the days, our days, we had teachers that cared, because our teachers were in the neighborhood. I think busing, one of the things that busing did, in my estimation, was it destroyed the neighborhood cohesiveness of schools.
Okay.
Because parents were in the PTA, everybody wasn't rich, they could, go all the way across town, but they cared about the schools, and we've lost that. We've lost that. And the other thing we've lost is the test scores are just abominable, man.
Absolutely. Then now I believe that I heard when I was going to speak at a school here just a couple months ago that only like 30% of the students actually graduate now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Abominable.
Yeah. I mean, you think about this. I was with Brother Jerry Stevenson, and we were trying to get charter schools. And you had all these people against charter schools. And I said, well, what are the public schools doing for you? They aren't. Why not make this is America, it's a capitalistic society. Let's get some competition in here. My kids, our kids deserve the best.
Absolutely.
So why not bring something in that's going to compete? You know why? Because Jefferson County has more people making $100,000 a year than San Francisco school system. they have the teachers union has a vested interest in keeping the status quo, because they're like a $2 billion industry, and you don't want to mess with that. You don't want to rock that boat. You can get killed doing that, brother, for real.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a lot different. I mean, I was the last black class to come out of Shawnee before Bussy. And we still have we are just so tight, that class, because of that. We have just maintained that camaraderie over the years, because it changed the dynamic of the school. It did. It just did, man. It just we haven't gotten it back. Like you say, look at Shawnee now.
So that's why it's very important for us to respect those that paved the way for us. You know, the fields and the streets that I'm able to walk on now have been paved. Individuals like yourself going through the woods with the machete and blazing away, going through all the criticism and the racial remarks and everything that you had to endure. Yeah. So individuals like myself now can come into an environment like this hotel and thrive and put on events and trying to help us to be able to further our cause. So now, after you left the Marine, let's talk about the next journey that life took you on after that.
That was at Magnavox Defense Systems. Okay. I was working in aerospace. I worked for Magnavox, and I worked for a company called Amex. Amex was the one, they were a subcontractor of NASA. And we worked on what was called the orbital thruster controls. They had pitch, yaw, roll. When you're in the orbit, the space shuttle turns different ways. Well, we worked on the electronics for that. And I remember the day that Challenger blew up. I came into the office, because at that time, my boss had actually, he had moved to another position, and they made me the temporary head of the department. So I was signing off on all kind of tests and stuff. And when that thing blew up, man, every subcontractor got put under a microscope. Man. Came to work, and there was an FBI semi truck in the parking lot. These little FBI guys running around with these little bitty machine guns, and they were not smiling, man. They were like, I'm like, what do y'all want? All the tests related to NASA, the orbital thrusters. I said, but dude, it blew up on the launch pad. They didn't even use our stuff, But they wanted, I mean, they checked everything. So I worked for them for a while. Then I started, me and a guy named Maurice Clark, big Jamaican brother. He took me to Jamaica with him, to Spanish Town, Jamaica. I got to see the Jamaica that the tourists don't see. I'm telling you, brother, it was wild. Okay. But we started a company, and we were what was called 8A. See, we realized he was quality control, and I was, maintainability, system safety, and reliability. And we started doing paperwork. Companies didn't like to do all that paperwork, so we got some of the smaller companies who were doing paperwork. And we, excuse me, I got this bronchitis. We had we would do their paperwork, all those reports that they would have to do. That's what he did, the quality reports, and I do all the reliability engineering reports. And we ended up being a fairly successful company. We had about 6 people working for us at one point. And I remember one day, we got this contract for $2 million. It's like, whoa. Raytheon Systems, they said, yeah, we need your subcontractor. We need y'all to do, a configuration management for us. Okay, cool. So it's basically we being librarians. That's what that was all about. You got to make sure you document everything and put it in the sequence of that, a special system that the government had. But me and Maurice went to the airport. We just got this contract. So we was like, man, we hit it.
$2 million, man. Y'all feeling good.
Well, I mean, trust me, it ain't as great as it seems, because you got your overhead, you got your employees, you got insurance, all that stuff, taxes.
Absolutely.
But we wasn't hurting.
Absolutely.
Because we got our American Express card, went down to the Tom Bradley terminal at LAX, and said, where's the next flight going? We didn't have no clothes, no nothing, man. We just got out to the airport. We were wild, young and wild. It was going to Hong Kong. So we bought 2 tickets, went to Hong Kong, bought clothes. I mean, we just had a ball. We had a ball, man. But after that, I met Joanne. Came home one Christmas. My mother introduced us.
Now, before you go into Joanne is your wife, correct?
Yes.
So before you go into this situation with your wife, was that after or before you began to have to these struggle with these different substances?
Oh, that was before. Yeah, well before.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. No, I was married when I started.
Okay, so now you meet your wife,
Yeah.
and then we're going to build up to that. So
Yeah.
you meet your wife.
And it was December of 1984. I was just thinking that we'll be together 40 years next
Man,
year.
congratulations.
40 years.
Man, 40 years.
Yeah. So I guess I'm not going nowhere.
Nowadays, people don't make it 40 months.
Oh, no. I know it's terrible. It's terrible. It is. But we met in 84, and we kind of had that long distance relationship because I was in California, she was here. She's a doctor, and she was working off of some student loans, doing public health work. And when she completed that, she moved to Los Angeles with me. And we continued to date. At the end of the day, then when we decided to get married, then that's when we decided we'd come back here. So I moved back first, kind of getting, blazing the trail, getting everything together. And then she came back, and in December 31st, 1989, we got married.
Okay, okay.
So, I can't never forget my wedding day because it's New Year's Eve.
All right, all right.
So,
now during the time of you being married, were you pursuing your entrepreneur pursuits at that time?
not as much when we first got married. When we first got married, I was just working at companies. I wasn't really trying to do anything on my own. But I think it was in 1992 when I did my second venture, because me and Maurice had a company, but the second venture was the Shemwell Report. It was a television community affairs program. I remember people telling me, man, said, you can't do that. How you gonna have a television program? Ain't nobody gonna do that. And that's why that old thing about the white man keep coming up. Man, ain't no white man ever stopped me from doing nothing. Nothing I wanted.
So is that just a cop out?
Yeah,
Individuals pursuing their goals and dreams?
It is. If you say you got this, that's a crutch. Now don't get me wrong. Racism exists.
Absolutely.
No, not going to deny that. But what I'm saying is that in this day and age, if you put your mind to it, you can do it.
Absolutely.
Let me tell you this. I have never. My undergrad degree is in computer science. My master's is in divinity. But I've never applied for it. Let me say this again. Say this to y'all. I have never applied for a job and didn't get an offer.
Wow.
In a computer job. Never. Okay? Never. Once you get it in here and you know your stuff, nobody can take that away from you. Nobody.
So that means that you just have to be at the top of your
You gotta be your
class,
game.
huh?
You gotta be your game.
Okay.
Yeah, you don't be half stepping. Like I told you. That last video that I did, I know I didn't do right. And if I don't do right, that's on me. And I acknowledge that. We cannot do substandard work and think we just gonna fly by. You got to do your best whenever you're doing what you're doing. So I started this program, and it initially was called Minority Files. And Daryl Garrett, the Vice President of Operations over at Channel 15, said, well, we're going to change the report and make it about, use your name. I said, my name? I said, but yeah. I said, that gives it some identity. That gives it a brand. I said, okay. So we called it the Shemwell Report. And I've interviewed business people, artists. When I say artists, I mean singers and actors. And I got to ask Bill Clinton some questions when he came here. I've interviewed Louis Farrakhan. I mean, we did some dramatic things. I mean, it was just enormous opportunities that I had when I did that. Plus, we won 3 tellies. The telly is like a regional Emmy.
Okay.
And I'm proud of that. Also proud of the fact that we were the first African-American community affairs program to go statewide. And we still are. There still hadn't been one since us to do that. So, on broadcast television. Now, of course, you got people that do, stuff on the internet now, which is worldwide. But on broadcast television, we were right behind Tony Brown's Journal. They probably don't know who Tony Brown is, but he was an affluent African-American entrepreneur as well. But we did that until about 2002, and that's when I ran for office.
So now, going back to 1990, so you've been on the air for literally 30 plus years. 30 plus years running the Shemwell Report.
Well, the Shemwell Report, it died in 2002.
Okay.
So I'm bringing it back. I'm bringing it back now, yeah. But you wanted to know about the substance abuse.
Yes.
It happened while I was doing the Shemwell Report.
Really? So what caused you to now, you know,
Well,
go into the substance?
let me say that when I was in the Marine Corps, I was a regular guy. You know, I drank, I did, you know, smoked a little weed, did a little this, a little that. But I was doing a documentary, a 3-part documentary called Crack, A Community in Crisis, back in the early 90s, or mid 90s rather, mid 90s. And I put this stuff together, and I actually interviewed some people who were smoking dope. And I'm like, okay, you know, so I done drugs. This stuff can't be that bad, you know. I'm like, come on, man, y'all tripping. Y'all just weak-minded, weak-willed. Brother, I made the mistake of dancing with the devil.
Man, so you just by being inquisitive, it caused you to now pick up a habit.
I said, let me try it. And I did.
Boom!
Yeah. And then I was off to the races. So I wasn't really bad at first, you know. I was like, you know, once in a while. But then all of a sudden, you know, back in the 2000s, I got, you know, just lost my mind, man. Just went to the animalistic. You know, people who thought they knew me. I didn't want anybody to see me in that condition, you know, because I was just chasing that next one. But to her, I guess I'd say my wife, she stuck with me. I remember I was in rehab once, and she came in, we having this family session, and she sat down, she said, because I'm out of my mind. I'm ready to just say, well, I don't want you in here no more, because you just get crazy. Well, I did. I'm sleeping me on it. I did. And she looked at me and she said, I meant my vows. How about you? Man, you talk about feeling this big. I mean, I said, dang, whew, that's love. That's what love really looks like, Wayne.
That's what it looks like.
You know, it's an action word. You know, love is a verb. And I did. I relapsed one more time after that. I'll be honest, I did. But those words stuck with me.
So what was the tool? What helped you to get to the point to where you overcame that addiction, and not only overcame it, never looked back, and then just catapulted you on this journey of entrepreneurship?
Well, I two things. My kids. I didn't want to miss them growing up. Besides, I missed a bunch of it being out there in that insanity. And the other thing was, I thought about my parents. I thought about my ancestors. You know, my daddy, he did our name's Shemwell. It's kind of a unique name. And he did a genealogy. And we followed our family all the way back to Dover, Tennessee. And every black Shemwell, I can tell you, we're related. If you're black and you're Shemwell, I know, excuse me, who the patriarch is, Joe Allen from Dover, Tennessee. But here's the hit. When I was in the Marine Corps, I was stationed at Cherry Point, North Carolina, and there's a place down in Morehead City where they used to do the slave trade. I'm getting chills again. Zachary Shemwell came from there to Tennessee. He's the actual first slave Shemwell to come to Tennessee. I stood in the slave cells,
Man.
where they used to hold them.
Man.
And I'm not a big guy. I had to bend over to get in that place. I'm 5 feet 8 inches tall. And I had to stand in there hunched over. I can imagine what some of those big Africans must have had to go through. And when I think about that, I think about what they endured. Did they endure that for me to throw it away, smoking crack? All the stuff they suffered, all the burdens they bore to get to this point?
Man.
I couldn't throw that away. Couldn't throw it away. And it still weighs on me, as you see.
Mm-hmm.
I get very emotional when I think about that. Because I know, I remember black and white water fountains. I'm that old. You know, I remember lynchings and all the things that our people endured. How can I throw away what they struggled to give me? Can't do that. So I just woke up, and you know, they talk about in the 12 steps, they talk about, you know, first you acknowledge, and then you go through the steps, and you make amends and all that. But the 12th step talks about a spiritual awakening. I had a huge spiritual awakening when I realized that, first of all, Jesus is in the 12 steps. The Bible's in the 12 steps, all the way through. And when I realized that he was there all the time, all of a sudden, man, it was like, boom, light, you know, went off. And I just realized that. Then that's when I got my computer consulting firm. I had 3 guys that worked with me for that. And I did that for a number of years, as well as pastoring my first church in LaGrange, Kentucky. So I was doing 2 things at the same time. I was being a pastor, and then I was doing the computer services. I had contracts with CVS, Toys R Us, Chase Bank.
Man, you were connected with some heavy hitters out here.
Well, we were doing Dell warranty work. I was doing that too. But what happened was, through that Dell warranty work, they saw what we were doing, and they brought us on as a contractor for some of the works that they were doing, you know, at different places, because they didn't have enough people to cover everything. So we were from Elizabethtown up to Seymour, over to Corydon, over to what's the name of that town? There's Hanover.
Okay.
Hanover. Yeah, we were up there. So I did that for a number of years. Then I got sick. My wife said I was doing too much. I developed diabetes, high blood pressure, my kidneys were messing up, and that's when she got on me again. She said, you got 2 little kids, you know, you got to cut this out. So I stepped down as pastor, and I sold my list for my business. I sold it and made a nice little chunk of change, you know, because I had about 200 clients, and they gave me a nice little change. I put it into an annuity, so I get a monthly check still for the rest of my life. And what's going to happen is when I die, man, my kids will get that money. And, you know, so it's put in a trust now. And I take that everybody, if you got any assets, you got kids, get a trust. Protect them.
Absolutely.
You know, you got to know about we got to be financially smart, because for lack of knowledge, our people perish. And they are perishing big time. So I sold that. I stayed out for a while. Then that's when I started writing books. In that hiatus, I wrote my first book. It was called Now Run and Tell That. And it goes back to my addiction theme. It says, the crack cocaine of the Christian community. You know, because gossip is addictive.
Absolutely.
You know, Proverbs talks about it's a sweet morsel that goes down to the soul.
Oh yeah.
To the inner being.
Oh yeah.
You know, and it's something that people like to do. I remember when I was the pastor first time, I had this sign on my desk that said, "I am they." You know why I said that? That sign?
Why is that?
Because what do people tell you when they gonna bring you some gossip? Well, they said, no, I didn't. I am they. So they didn't say it. You know, trying to stop that stuff, man, because gossip will destroy. It destroys marriages, destroys churches, it destroys families. You know, gossip is dangerous. Listen, gossip. It hisses at you like a snake.
Absolutely.
You know, so we need. So that's what my first book was on. Then I wrote one called The Oyster Principle, turning life's problems into life's pearls into pearls. You know, the oyster takes that irritant, and turns it into one of the most beautiful things on the planet. That's what we need to be doing as human beings. Taking that, you know, life's, like they say, life hands you lemons, make lemonade, so to speak. Mm-hmm. Well, make a pearl.
Make a pearl.
Make a pearl. Yeah, I don't give me no doggone lemonade. I want a pearl. Diamonds are made under pressure. You know, so you got to realize that the God is showing us the natural world. The natural revelation shows us a lot about how we should be living. Look at all the different trees and all the different plants all living all together. Diversity, and they're not killing each other. They're not destroying each other. If they can live together, why can't we?
Right.
And we're supposed to be a higher intelligence.
Absolutely.
But look at us. You know, oh, your skin is different than mine. Oh, you know, you don't have as much money. We don't divide each other on some stupid stuff. Nature doesn't do that. And the natural revelation shows us also that, like I said, that diamond, the most valuable item on the planet, is made under extreme pressure.
Extreme pressure.
That's what we have. I mean, life can be extremely pressure on us as well, can put extreme pressure. We need to be able to say, okay, I can handle this. Because this is just part of the natural process. This is part of the maturation process. You know, to become a man, guess what? You're going to have to fall down a few times. You know, but guess what? If you get up, you'll be a little bit stronger from the fall that you had. You know, we've got to understand that Paul said, I press on. Pressing is hard. He presses on to the higher mark of the higher calling. You press, you got to put some effort into it. You got to strain a little bit. You know, we got to exercise that spiritual muscle. We cannot be static and move forward in this life. You know, I'm still learning. Right now I'm in school again. I'm gonna be a Christian life coach.
Okay.
Now I'm taking all kinds of courses, man. You know, with this TV network, I'm learning new techniques and the AI and all this stuff all the time. And I see people my age, and they look like they're dying. You know, because they weren't thinking. They weren't revived. Romans says what? Transform your mind.
By renewing of your mind.
It says it. And if you do that, guess what? He'll bless you. But you got to do it within God's will. I pray every day, bro. You know, I do my little program. So I pray before I do my program. I pray at 9 o'clock every day for the church. I think one of the most underused tools in spirituality is prayer. It is.
Prayer is a weapon.
It's a weapon.
Oh, yeah.
That's it, bro. It's a weapon. And if we learn how to use it, because, see, the scripture tells us we have not.
Because we ask not.
I ask not.
Uh-huh.
Because we ask wrong. You know, oh, Lord, give me a Cadillac. No. Oh, Lord, let me do your will. And if I'm walking in your will, guess what? He provides. He gives you a plan. He gives you provision. That's what I found out. Like this old crackhead now is worth $1.4 million.
Man, that's amazing. A man that has been hooked on drugs now is worth $1.4 million.
And when I sat down with that guy, and he told us, we put this trust together, they get all your assets, and they put everything together, and they pulling this from here, that from there, this and this, this and that. And I'm sitting there, and he said, okay, well, you know, get this and this, and then the house, you know, you got your stocks, you got your bonds, you got your retirement accounts, and he said, he said, that's about $1.43 million. I said, what did he just say? See, and I tell people that because it's not about me, it's about God. Only God can turn people around like that. I went from the pit to the pulpit, and I know it wasn't me, it was God. That's why my motivational speeches are always about overcoming obstacles, because there's nothing in life that you cannot overcome if you put your mind to it, if you get the resolve, because the resources are available. Now, we just need to take advantage of them. In our society today, you know, you can find what you need, but we got to be able to get that mindset. It's that positive mindset thing, and you got to reinforce it. That's why I want to pour into you, because you can pour into something into the next generation. Because we're tired of seeing on news. I didn't know anybody murdered until I was 25 years old. I taught a Bible class a few years ago, probably about 10 years ago now, and I asked these kids. I was teaching the kids, and I said, I think there had been a shooting or something, and I asked them. I said, you all know about it? There's been shot. I had 16 kids in that class. I'll never forget that. Every one of them raised their hand. And I was like, man. Then I said, how many of y'all know somebody that's been killed? Every one of them. Every one of them. They weren't over 18. Our children are suffering from PTSD. From what they lived. I was in the Marine Corps. I got shot at a couple of times. So I know the traumatic experience of having a weapon pointed at you. This is every day.
Wild, Wild West.
Yes. So, well, that's why I'm doing what I'm doing with the television network, which came after a little while. Can I tell you about the television network?
Absolutely. Go ahead.
Look, I was at Midwest and where you met when you met at that Midwest, and I was their audio minister of technology, and I got everything together. You know, I got the sound booth built and all this stuff, man, all the monitors in and all this, and there were people over there were telling me that ain't ministry. That's not ministry. I don't know what you think you're doing. Blah, blah, blah. Well, I've been on the air 7 years, and I'm talking to people in India and all kind of places now, so I know it's ministry. But these legalizers, they were Judaizers, or whatever you want to call them, legalists. They want to say, oh, you have to do this in order for it to be ministry. Man, you know what? The word don't change, but the methods do.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so don't get this twisted. So this is when they really realized it was a benefit. When the pandemic hit, didn't miss a beat, because we were already on Facebook and YouTube.
Right.
Didn't miss a beat. So they had a business meeting. I went into that business meeting with a lot of those people who were telling me it wasn't ministry. I said, I'm your Joseph. When the famine hit, you didn't miss a meal. Remember that. I am your Joseph. And after that, I got sick. I went to the hospital. And this is why it's called Spirit Broadcasting Network. I'm laying in the hospital with COVID. They want to intubate me. My oxygen's dropping low. You know, I'm wheezing and all kind of stuff. I said, no, y'all ain't putting that in my throat, man. Because I see people they don't make it off that thing. And I'm seeing people go by dead. And when you die with COVID, they hermetically seal you. At that time, they were hermetically sealing people because they were still contagious.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm seeing these metal things roll down. And I'm like, oh my God. And I'm laying there, and this just hit me. It just hit me. It said, you've been faithful over a few things, come up and liberty rule over many. I'm like, what? Huh? What? Television network. I said, I don't get a television network. I don't have any resources to do that. I got the resources. I had this network before I left the hospital up and running. This is the only business I've ever been involved in that has never been in the red. Not one day. Always in positive.
It's amazing.
It's God.
Let me ask you this: as we get ready to close this interview here, what are some pieces of wisdom that you can give with the listening audience that's taking a look at this? What are some pieces of advice that you can give them along their journey of entrepreneurship? Of course, you've been a perfect example of an individual that have overcome many obstacles. I just spoke to a group of people last week that was recovering addicts and been, sexual, hysteria, abuse, everything. So you've been a person that's overcame the drug part of it. So what can you give to the listening audience that's moving forward that want to be future entrepreneurs, have already started on a journey?
What I would tell anybody right now is, number one, stay true to your dream. Stay focused. You said, I asked you to do something not a couple weeks ago. You said, no, I gotta stay focused on this. That's what you need to do. Scripture tells us neither to the left or to the right. Stay focused. One of the things I think that happens to a lot of folk, and I see it with some of my peers. They have the shiny object syndrome. Mm-hmm. But the shiny object syndrome is a lie. Shiny object syndrome isn't. What it is I'm giving up. I don't want to stick with what I'm doing right now. See, I want to go over here and do this one. Okay, well, no, I want to do this one. Okay, now I want to do this one. I'm going to do this one. That's giving up. That's not what that is you saying, oh, this is getting kind of hard. I don't want to do it. Guess what? Life is hard. Life is hard. Jesus said, I've overcome the world. And he said, these things you could do and even greater things than this. Take those words to heart and realize that, you know what? If God is in it, you're going to win it.
He's in it, you're going to win it.
That's it.
And so if you want to go ahead and share with the believers out there your books, if you want to let them know the name of your books and how they can contact you, how they can find you.
You can go, if you want to find my books, you can go to Wayne at WayneShemwell.org. Wayne at WayneShemwell.org. And I have that's my ministry website, and the bookstore is there. And they had some problems initially. I had to go back and fix it, but it's fixed now. You should be able to order whatever you want. I got my latest book. I have a flyer for it tonight, and I got a QR code, which will take you right to the bookstore.
Okay, how can they find you online?
Just Wayne Shemwell.
Wayne Shemwell?
Yeah, you just Google Wayne Shemwell and I come up. Yeah.
Okay, well, here you have it. We had a powerful interview with a man that's been so important in my growth as I continue to move forward with the Wisdom and Wealth Group. Wayne Shemwell, a man that's overcome many obstacles. Stay tuned. We got more coming for you in the future. Until the next time, we say peace.
Peace.